All right, thank you for staying with us on TMI. Let's quickly go straight to the next talking point. I have with me in the studio Barrister Israel Adodo. Of course, he's a legal practitioner and a clergy. Barrister, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Okay, now road to 2023 election, there has been a lot of intrigues happening as the election is fast approaching. We've seen so many things going on, from the 5G governors trying to take their stand on the resignation of IU. And of course, in the APC, so many disharmony between some of the party leaders and party members. And of course, there's no party that doesn't have its own fair share of issues arising. Even the Labour Party have an issue with their national youth leader. So let's come to Barrister Israel. Barrister Israel, the election is just a few months away. What's your take on the preparation, the preparedness of the political parties?
Well, I will start by saying that the days ahead are going to be interesting, very interesting. And like we have all agreed, it's not going to be business as usual. It's going to be a whole different ballgame. And like you have asked, I think the parties are doing enough, and they are doing well enough. Yesterday, I was driving through on Sapler Road. I saw some party members from Labour Party. Okay. They were campaigning, and it was not the usual kind of campaign. This one was more of a mosquito type, an evangelism.
Mosquito type.
Campaign, yes. when you're not going from offices to offices, individual to individual, I tell you, they're not the era where you have to stay in the stadium and you have to pay people. No, now people are going out. So parties are doing everything. And the emergence of the Labour Party is making the two dominant party before now to sit up. So I think they are doing well enough, and we are very trustful that it's going to be eventful.
So, talking about, you said we have two major parties, and
before now.
Before now. So is there any tendency that this new offsprings of parties, is there any tendency that they are going to outshine the existing parties come 2023?
Well, there are a lot of uncertainty. Like I have expressed in different fora, the uncertainty that this election brings has never been seen so parallel. So, if there will be surprises or not is what we can't tell. But there are chances that one party may undo the other. And it will not be surprising, because we have seen that the masses are coming out in numbers. The masses are saying, no, we want something different, we want a different ball game. So anything is possible. Anything is possible. But to stand and tell you this is how it will go is something that you need prophecies to actually declare.
Okay, yes, we've seen people coming out in their numbers to show their interest in the election. But most people that actually that have been coming out all this while, most of them are young people. And some persons are of the opinion that they should wait. They are wasting their time. Some of them feel that they are just a handful of youths who are jobless. What's your take on that?
Well, I think by now those impressions are already being taken care of. You know, before now, when the Labour Party movement started, it was like a Twitter thing and online. Nobody was
you a political party member?
I'm not. Okay. For now, I don't belong to any political party. Okay. I'm not aligned to any party. Okay. I'm speaking as a passionate Nigerian. Okay. Dispassionately. Okay. So, before now, it was believed that the emergence of Labour Party was online and all of those things. But suddenly we discovered that from online, there were small meetings. But we are beginning to meet and all of that. And from there, we saw the rally in different states, different local governments. So if anyone is still sitting and believing that what the Labour Party is doing is still the normal, what they have long expected, I think the person needs to wake up. Yes.
Okay. Now, some party candidates have been avoiding debates.
Okay.
For a while now. Well, there's this town hall meeting that was organized by a television station. And, of course, so many other meetings that were organized, the NBA meeting, for instance, in Lagos. A particular candidates, some candidates didn't show up. What's your take on that? Do you think it's a good one? You are applying for an office.
Of course.
And the people who have the power to put you in the office, they are calling you for a debate and you're not showing up. Do you think it's a good sign?
Well, Nigeria, what we are practicing is a democracy. The implication of democracy is that for you to ascend to any position, you must be sponsored by the people. The people must trust you to donate that power to you. And if the people that you are to rule you can't first meet them to express what you are bringing to the table, then there should be consigns. So if an aspirant is called for an event, and the aspirant is, for reason best known to him or her, is absenting himself, I think that is already an impression in the mind of the citizen. The citizen has to sit down and ask, if the person we are taking there, or that we intend to sponsor to get there, is not speaking to us now, is it when he gets there? So there are fears, but the reason why I'm not too concerned with that for now is because we have seen from history that a lot of persons have avoided such meetings and they still emerge as the winner of the election. So the question is, what is the importance of those kind of meetings?
Okay.
Yes, what is the importance? If at the end, after those meetings, you talk, and at the end on the election day, people are going to vote, are not going to be voting based on what you have shared, but based on what they are going to receive on the election ground, then at times you may think there are reasons to dispense with it. But in a genuine democracy, it is expected that the person must speak to the people. We have seen it all over the world. In America, town hall meetings are held. The person comes, you speak, the people are impressed, they are gingered, they are excited, and they can't wait to vote for you. And I think that's the way to go. All aspirant has a moral duty, and as a matter of fact, a legal duty, to tell us what they are bringing to the table, to attend meetings, to show signs that they will be accountable when they finally get there. Now, but the challenge again is this. We have seen, like what happened recently to one of the aspirants who went to a meeting and was almost messed up with questions that were annoying, and to some extent, he was almost prompted to lose his school. So you see, at times when things like that happen, you begin to ask yourself, do I need to honor all of these meetings? So even if you are not honoring all, to some extent it's expected you honor some that are important, not completely avoiding it. It is not a good sign at all.
Well, I'm going to ask you two questions in one, and I want you to react. You said, what's the importance of some of this meeting? If at the end of the day, the voters will still end up collecting things that will make them to change their mind. So are you saying vote buying is something that we may not take care of before the election?
I am saying it unequivocally. I am saying it clearly and plainly. For now, the greatest threat to Nigeria democracy and electionary process is vote buying. And the politicians are aware. That is our greatest fear.
So it's not something we can eradicate?
It's something to some extent.
In our system?
Not completely for now. Not completely for now, because when you go to polling and when you go to election ground, you see what plays out. In an instant where somebody goes to vote, and before you approach the cubicle, you are told that, see, thumbprint for a particular political party, show the whatever you are thumbprinted to an agent of the party, and while you are doing that, somebody is not too far away from the agent, and once the agent blinks the eyes that yes, this one got it right for us, then you give the person money. So the parties have the machineries on ground to perfect it. But we thank God from what we saw last time during this Osu election, that EFCC staff are now going to election ground, so that when there are such allegations, the person can be dealt with.
But we didn't see anybody arrested for that.
That's the problem. We have policies. Implementation is a problem. But I think the policy coming up at all is a sign that something is being done to address it. So all you need now is persons that will be committed, genuinely committed to the implementation. If that is done, I think to some extent it will minimize it. But for now, to say completely that vote buying will be taken care of, it will not be that easy.
Okay, let's divert a little. You are a clergy, and you've been into ministry for a while now. And in this country, we have this, in Africa, we have these prophecy things that comes up, and you see clergymen prophesying the next Nigerian president. And to an extent, it's causing problem, because at the end of the day, some of these people they prophesy will come into office, end up not even emerging winners of the election. What do you think clergymen should be doing at this point?
All right. In Ghana recently, a few months to the election, the government came out to explicitly say that it was a criminal offense for a clergy to come out with prophecy concerning election. That if God have told you anything concerning who is going to win or is going to lose, keep it to yourself. That coming out to announce these things was an offense, and that was the position. Now, such things are very likely to disturb the election process. And it's also to some extent, because these persons are followers, to some extent influence the mind of their followers. So our position is this. if you have prophecies for election, it's a good thing, but keep it. At this point, what clergymen should be doing, or what we should be doing from the body of Christ, or even as the Muslim leaders, is to be educating our people on the need to come out, persevere on that election day, to vote, and to ensure that their vote counts. So after having done that, the next thing you have to do is to keep praying for whoever comes out. Because it's wanting to win elections, and wanting to implement all whatever you have brought out as your promises. So for now, I think it will be neater and tidier if religious leaders we only educate their followers on the need to cast their vote. Now we have already passed the era of getting your voter's card.
That's
okay,
true.
So it's on the need for you to come out because there's stress and rigor.
To exercise your franchise.
Yes, to exercise it. That's what they should be hammering on. Even though that, pray for the country, pray for the nation.
No prophecy.
No, that prophecy is not important.
Okay.
It's not important. If you have prophecies, share it with loved ones that are close to you. Share it with them. Let them know this is what God has showed me. Let it stop there.
Okay. Don't bring it to public domain.
Yes, it's not necessary.
Oh, okay.
It's not necessary.
Oh, okay. So now I'm still going to put this to you because of your position as a clergyman. Now, there's a particular candidate, and it seems like the Christian faith, they are all rallying around him because of his faith. Of course, we have other candidates of the other faiths, and it seems like the people of the other faiths, they're actually throwing their support behind him because of his faith. Now, do you think religion should determine the next election?
You see, the truth.
Should we go for competence?
The truth is, after God is government. What that means is religious leaders cannot completely fold their hands and do nothing about who governs them. You get it? Now, when you are in a nation like Nigeria, where you have different religious belief and predominantly the Christian faith and the Muslim, Islamic or Muslim faith, I think it will be smart for us to be careful in throwing our support behind a particular candidate based on religion.
Okay.
In an ideal system, what should regulate whoever becomes the president or whoever becomes the leader is competence. But we have seen in Nigeria that competence has been thrown away. In this particular nation, we are seeing that once a particular person comes out and from a particular faith, that people queue behind him. And the Christians are saying that, no, if we continue like this, it may not all go well. Well, I saw a video online, unverified anyway, where a particular candidate was telling the people that if this person fails in emerging as the next president, that a particular religion has failed. You get it? Now, you are trying to play some trick in the heart of your followers. That this thing is no longer about competence. It's about their God against our God. And it's not the best. It's not the best. So, what should play the most important role in selecting our leaders should be competence. First, competence. Yes, sir.
Okay, the Director General of the Labour Party campaign team actually came out and said that their presidential candidates will not honor any invitation for any debate again.
Oh.
That's because other presidential candidates don't usually show up. So do you think at this point they should be saying that?
It's not a smart move at all. It's not a smart move. Those that are not coming out to talk to the people, it's because there's something they trust in. So if also they are also believing or putting their trust in what they are putting their trust on, they can play along with them. But if it's Labour Party and you think the masses are your resource or are your power to what you want to become, then you have to keep talking to them. You have to keep talking to them. So it's not the best. It's not the best, no.
Okay, so now, as we journey towards the 2023 election, what kind of leader should Nigerians look out for?
We need competence. We need competence. Someone that can get the job done. This is not the era where you are trying to appeal to some persons, to a few persons. This is the time where you should be concerned with the general good. The general good. See, if whoever is coming to lead this country is coming under the belief to amass wealth for themselves again is going to fail. You are going to have issues. At this point, if you are coming, you should be coming with your sleeve rolled to do something different. What is your plan for the technological development of this nation? We are not aware that we are in the era of technology. What plans do you have on the table to transform it? That's why the idea or the days of the old order has ended. Whoever is not thinking with the 21st generational mindset is not qualified to be the president. What do you have to bring to the table? What practical steps? If you are not doing that, you are not saying we'll do this, without telling us steps, you are going to fail, because we all know what has happened with the effect of COVID and all of those things. The nation all over the world is still not balanced.
Of course.
And all of those things. So you must have practical steps, practical idea to revolutionize the economy, because the Nigeria economy is going down daily. We all know what the exchange rate for dollar is now. It has never gotten this bad. It has never. So whoever is coming, you have to know what you put in place, how to attend to market indices, how to look at the stock exchange, how to look at ICT, how you can harness the human resource. The human resource, the days where we depend 100% on oil has to end. It has to end. We have to harness our human resource.
So do you think we have someone that can lead us out of this dark time?
Of course we have. Of course. Of course we have. We have people that has what it takes, that has proven it before, that we believe when they get there, they can do something.
Among the presidential candidates?
Yes, they are. There are a lot of candidates. Some are popular, some are not. But I think in all of them, there are some of them that can do, do very well, sir.
That's your own submission.
Yes, that's my belief.
But to an extent, there's this feelings that there's nobody who gets into power and doesn't get carried away when he starts working.
The manzi that absolute power corrupts and corrupts absolutely is valid. It's true. Once you get power, controlling power is very difficult. I was telling a colleague in the office a few days ago that my fear with some candidate that the masses are queuing behind is what becomes of the person when you finally get power. Some persons taste power and you are surprised at what become of them. Now, up till now, like I told you, there were some persons that voted the present president with the belief that he will do perfectly well. But what we have seen is different. It's different. So that's why we are saying that the clergymen, one of their duties is to continue to pray. So that when the person, whoever comes in, that you back the person up in prayers, because that is what religious leaders should do. So that when they get there, they will not forget where they started from. Okay. So there is high tendency, there is high proclivity, there is the propensity that when people get there, they change. It is very possible.
So how are we now going to know this right candidate? Do you have indices?
Competence.
Okay.
Competence.
You've said that.
Yes.
Time to that number.
If we blind our eyes to this, we are going to have issues. These candidates, every one of them, thank God that mainly those that are popular, the three major candidates, they have been given opportunities before to serve. We know their antecedents. We know what they can do. So let's begin to look at what they have done before and believing that when they come, they will be able to replicate or even do better than that.
We have others that are popular too. Kwankwaso was one time, two-time governor.
Yes. He's a contender too. He's a strong candidate.
So many
he did well in the state.
So many other candidates that are there. Okay, now let's now see. Trying to go through the church to get election, to get the votes of church members or to get the votes of Christian worshippers. Is it the right way? Because there was a time Okowa came out and said that Peter Obi should not go through the church. But that's not the best way to get election won.
In this nation, you can't take away the place of religion.
Okay.
Someone said religion is the opium of the people. What that means is the religion influences. At a point, it can even suspend the reasoning. And these politicians are aware. So there is no better feed to them with which they can easily influence the mind of the followers like the religious grant. Now, the good thing is not only in the Christian faith, even among the Muslims. Their aspirants are also going there to talk to them, to influence them. So there's nothing wrong with it. The only thing we are saying is religious leaders should be apolitical. They should step backward. Give your blessings to whoever comes. Pray for God to bring the right person. Haven't done the right thing.
So are you saying if a candidate goes to a place of worship,
they should be received?
Okay.
They should be received.
They shouldn't be rejected.
No. You don't reject. You don't reject. As a religious leader, you are a father. When people come, you pray for them, you counsel them, you advise them, you talk to your people, you allow them make their own opinion. Allow them make their. So it's not entirely bad. It's not entirely bad. So politicians can go to religious ground to make to share, because most times where you have people where they can really listen to hear you is in this religious.
Now, there's this internal crisis that has been rocking the PDP, and the G5, they're actually still holding forth and saying that we are not going to allow you continue in office. Okay, though they are, according to a latest statement, they are open for negotiation. Do you think Atiku Abubakar should undermine their support and go on with his campaign like he has already started?
You undermine the influence of even one person in politics at your peril. It is a dangerous thing to think this person has no relevance. Everybody in politics has relevance. In fact, there's something called in politics nuisance value. Even a nuisance is valuable.
Okay.
So you can't undermine the place of just one vote, let alone someone in the capacity of a governor.
5 of them.
It's not something that should be joked with. But you see, these things are internal crisis within political parties. And I think all political parties, usually during election period, we have crisis. But how best you are able to manage it plays a long role in you becoming or achieving what you intend to. But the question is, if you cannot resolve your internal political crisis, there are concerns from some quarters that how then do you now resolve the crisis in the nation? So the candidate of the PDP, we believe, should do better. Okay. Because if you can do that, there is a likelihood that when you come, you'll be able to resolve a lot of crises we have in the nation.
Absolutely.
And so I think he should do better, and trying to despise, trying to neglect, trying to ignore them will not do the party any good at all. They need all the support they can garner at this point.
Okay. All right, if you're just tuning in, this is This Morning on ITV. We'll quickly take a short break now, and when we're back, we'll take the next lap of the discussion. We are going on a short break, and we'll be back to continue on the segment. Don't go nowhere.
TMI, every opinion counts.
All right, thank you for staying with us on TMI. Before we went on that short break, we were actually looking at the internal crisis rocking some of the political party as we move towards the 2023 election. And while we were on the break, we are being joined by Comrade Emmanuel Ogbudi. Comrade Emmanuel, good morning.
Good morning, DPO of the Airways. Good morning, Nigerians.
All right, let's come back now to Barrister Israel. You were saying that the crisis in some of these political parties is normal.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is. And like I said, yeah, internal affairs of the parties. The thing about internal affairs is that even the court cannot speak on it. So the way out is diplomacy. You have to exhaust it. It's not a time to make careless statements. It's not a time to be uncourted. It's not a time to think it doesn't matter. No, you must take steps to see how these things can be resolved. It's the way to go. So we encourage all these different aspirants to do that, because that is the way you can, to some extent, have a view of success ahead. When you neglect and think these actors, major actors in the capacity of a governor, is not relevant in your political journey to become the president, then you are a big joker.
Okay, let's come now to Ogbudi Emmanuel. Before you came on board, we're actually looking at some of this crisis. And the 5G governors, they are still saying that they are ready for negotiation. But however, it seems like the party has moved on without them. Is it a good one for the party?
Well, you see, the truth is this. Politics, as it is known to politicians, first of all, is about their interests. Personal interests, interest of your constituency, interests of your state and how it concerns your people. And whenever you see any aggrieved session in a political party arrangement, they are talking about either the status quo has not favored them, or some of them has felt marginalized, or some of them have felt being used, or some of them feel the system has not recognized their input. So in any way, like my brother said, agitation is a way in the internal political affairs, a way of expressing and ventilating for everybody to have a fair share, and if you like, a bite in the national cake, or in what you call the power arrangement and the power blocks. Because if you don't put this in place now, when power is ascended to, that is how it remains. So just now, we've seen in the various political parties, majorly between the PDP and the APC, they have eternal issues. Why? Because they understand what it takes to be among those who are within the cabals. Whether you like it or not, for example, in the current government, now there is a cabal. Even though you are in the ruling party and you are not in the cabal, you cannot be among those that are calling shots and that are enjoying the juicy position and having access to power at will. You might be inside the river and you still have soap in your eyes. That is one. Now, there is another part which they are hopeful that they will become the next party in power. And some sects are saying, if we are not giving a voice at this time, by the time we are sent into power, we will be reduced to tissue paper. Even at the level of being a governor and whatever your contribution will be now. And like what you are seeing now, they said we have an agreement. And the agreement is this. Because we want to give opportunities to all Nigerians, like what the PDP are saying, we throw the presidential ticket open to both the South and the North. And when it happens that the presidency comes from the North, then we are going to take the national chairman from the South. And if the presidency comes from the South, the chairman, of course, will definitely remain. Yes. Even though, you know, there's what we call verbal agreement. You understand? A gentleman agreement. It might not be in their constitution, but that was prior to their primaries, according to what they said. And now the presidential candidate is from the North. And these 5 governors, as at yesterday, we are beginning to see the romance. It might become G6 or even G7, and we don't know how it will end. But however, what I want to say is this. There is nothing that cannot be resolved. Yes, okay. It is up to the presidential candidate of the PDP to decide whether the interests of the party chairman supersede the interests of 5 governors. Okay? Jonathan in 2015 had an issue with the G5, and it affected him a great deal, and that was a sitting government, a sitting president recontesting, and it affected him. So I don't know the political calculations, I don't know the political strategy that the presidential candidate has in mind. Okay? But I will feel, if it is about the interests of the party and about how the party can rescue power from the sitting ruling party, then I think there is no sacrifice that is too big, except, of course, there is something we don't know. If there is something we don't know, fine. But if it is about how to get power, politics is about number. Everybody is needed. Okay. Everybody should be given an opportunity to ventilate and hear them. Okay? In its own part, he is saying there's no way you can be changing power now when we can be sharing power when we've not got into power. But there was an agreement. So I think every one of them can come together. But that is not really my concern. My concern is this. If parties in power or political parties cannot resolve their internal issues, how can they solve Nigeria problem? Nigeria is bigger than the parties. So if as a party you are having issues that you cannot resolve, how can you resolve the complex issues of Nigeria? It's a question and it's a signal to every Nigerian for us to begin to look very critically into this political class. You are having issues internally, you cannot resolve it, and you want to resolve Nigeria problem. So that is where we must start looking at it from.
Okay, let's come now to Barrister Israel. ASU are back to class, but their 8 months salary or so is still in the hands of the government. And that's because of the policy of no work, no pay actually played out in this instance. Do you think the government stand on withholding their salary? It's okay?
The issue actually is not about being okay or not. The issue is it lawful?
Okay.
Yes. If that is what you are looking at, then the truth may be sour. It may not taste too sweet. The reason I'm saying this is because there is a law in Nigeria. There is a law regulating union activities. We have the Trade Dispute Act. You get it? Now, this act has provision in cases. It envisages situations where crisis may come up in workplace. And it has ways it expects that such issues should be resolved. Now, concerning the issue of no work, no pay, it is enacted in the law that when a worker does not serve the employer, he is not entitled to pay. That's the law. That's the law. So it's not an emotional thing. Okay. It's there in the heart. Even these labor persons, they know it. In fact, the court has even ruled on it. In several cases, celebrated cases, Abdullahi and Olu, the court has said, in that case, also lecturers, they went on strike, but some of them were still coming to write attendance, even when they were on strike, but they were not going to the classroom. So this particular lecturer was not coming to write attendance, they come to classroom, and when the strike was called off, he was dismissed, and he was not paid. And he went to court. The court of first instance said, yes, restore him back, pay him arrears. Then when the case was appealed, the court said, no, it's not done. The court of appeal said, no, that it is unequitable, it is unjust, it is morally wrong to be paying a man who has not worked. Even the Bible says, if you don't work, don't eat. You get it?
Okay.
So if for any reason, I'm trying to get a balance.
Okay.
If for any reason we are envisaging a situation where the government pays ASU for not working, it is on moral ground. It is based on understanding. Now that we know that what were the causes of the strike, the government failed to play their role.
But the lost academic session has been recovered. The lost academic session, the academic session that weren't actually attending to during the strike, they're actually trying to meet up now.
That would be difficult. You can't meet up to that. Doing that,
but they are going to write exams.
Writing exams. Have you thought? That's the problem. We are going to roll out half-baked students again, and this is the crisis we have in the nation. If the concern of ASU is to have a first-class education that Nigeria is providing, then they must do everything to ensure that these people are well trained. Now you are doing everything within a period of a month or two to make up for the period of 8 months. Let's strike out the 14th of February and then 14th of October. For 8 months, you are trying to cover it up in 2 months.
So it's practically impossible.
It's practically, you can't put something on nothing and expect it to stand. It cannot stand. So it will be difficult. I don't know what to add. They are going to only teach ahead. The academic calendar has been distorted. For instance, as lawyers, for law students, for you to go to law school does not know if there is anything like strike. Every time there are some set of students from the various universities that must come to the law school. If when it is time your school doesn't come, you are on your own, the academic system in the law school continues. So students that are supposed to be law graduates now are already far behind. So you are saying you want to cover up. How do you cover up? How do you cover up? So if you want to pay us, so there's nothing wrong because we all know that the government has breached whatever agreement they had. So if you are doing that, you are doing it based on moral justification. And that's what the court have also said, that the employer wants to pay, there's no problem. But the employer has a lawful excuse not to.
Okay.
It tends not to.
Comrade Ogbidi, what's your view?
Well, first of all, before I engage on this ASU matter, the fact is this: we must first of all, I want to have a foundation, because I know we have ASU strike. There are, for example, in Edo State, we have ASU strike at the AAU and the general ASU strike at the Federal University. I want to say, first of all, that the case at the state university is totally different from what we are seeing at the federal university. At the state level of the AAU, I would say at that ground, the government and the management of that institution actually did the needful to rescue educational system and, of course, the Nigerian students from the hands of the very iron grip of some selfish union leaders. That is on that ground. But ASU at the federal level, because when I took my research into both issues, you see that, sir, in 2009, there was an agreement with ASU
And the government.
and the government. Government is about continuity. That is one thing our political class has failed to understand and recognize. Whether you are from party A or from party B, when government makes an agreement and a decision and another government comes, you are supposed to continue what that government has started. And that is why we have a lot of abandoned projects, abandoned road, abandoned school, and abandoned ASU cases that is negotiated and renegotiated over the years and up to now. You see, ASU, as it were just now, the calling up of strike, when I heard that they wanted to call up that strike upon the engagement of the ASU executive and Mr. Speaker, Bajabi Amela, I already knew that we would come to this ground, because I saw it as a strike, as a calling of the strike as a campaign strategy or a campaign relief, because the ruling party could not start their campaign, and they were asking within themselves, how do we start a campaign when ASU is on strike? And of course, there have to be an intervention. So the speaker went straight head on in order to remove it from the shoulder.
You think it was politically
It was highly
motivated?
politically motivated.
It was a court order.
It was a, I'm coming, sir. I'm coming. It was highly politically motivated to engage the Mr. President. I would have not been surprised if Mr. President come out one day and say he's not aware that ASU is on strike. We have seen it several times. So ASU would have held their ground, because look, you went on strike and you have certain reasons, not because of your salary. You want the educational system to be better. You want grants for lecturers to be trained and retrained. Because what we currently have in our federal institution today, because it is expensive to be a lecturer, an updated lecturer, except you want to be graduating student as illiterate. If you want to be an updated lecturer, to update yourself, your salary is not enough to train yourself, to equip yourself with relevant technologies and relevant knowledge. And they are saying, you must be able to provide grants accessible for us to train and retrain. Sometimes, even the facilities. You see students graduating from our institutions as a chemist, they don't know Bonsi Bonner. They have not seen methane. Are you getting it? All of these were issues that were on ground. And these issues being canvassed, there was an agreement reached, and you went on strike. These issues have not been resolved, and you decide to call off the strike. You are going to manage whatever comes up thereafter. Because it is on moral ground. The government declared that no work, no pay. But I will ask you, in 2009 till date, we've been hearing ASU strike. After the strike, were they not paid? They were paid. Why? Because the government also saw the areas they aired.
Yes, yes.
But this very government, we have a government that is adamant to the protests, to the yearnings, to the engagements of academic improvement. Why? Because the political class have seen education and illiteracy as a weapon in their hands to continue to enslave. Because education makes it very difficult for you to manipulate the people. You see the last EndSARS movement. That movement was an engagement of some levels of intellectuals. Those who feel that certain things are not correct. And we are getting to a stage where Nigerians will now begin to understand that the education that they have is their weapon. Okay? And they can use the same to engage the government of the day and liberate this country from the shackles of maladministration.
Okay.
So where am I going to? It's very clear. ASU is at this point, we have to begin to engage the negotiations and begin to follow up with Mr. Speaker, who went to meet Mr. President and he promised. And now what they are saying is that Mr. President is not available to sign for them to pay at least half of the backlog of the 8 months salary. And they were paid half in October, of which means that it is on ground and they are following the law and they are standing by it, and they want to teach them a lesson that no staff or no union can go on strike, which is very wrong, which is oppressive of the government to victimize a labor force because they went on strike on ground.
I'll get back to you now. Barrister Israel, you said it was a court order that brought them back to class.
Yes.
There was a time the medical association, medical doctors actually went on strike for about 2 months. And when they came back, they were actually paid for those 2 months. Is there any legal backing that a particular sect should get their salaries paid after coming back from strike?
No, like I've said, Section 43, sub 1, paragraph A of the Trade Dispute Act, make it clear that any party, any person who engage in a strike activity is not entitled to his salary.
But medical doctors went and they came back and got their salaries.
Now, the point is, if for any reason you are to be paid, like my friend have also said, is on moral ground, mainly when you know that you were one of those that provoked the strike. Because the strike is the only option in the system today in Nigeria, with which the employee can veg their grievances. It's the only way. So stopping them will be difficult. But when they go and you deny them, when you know you are the cost, it's like beating a child and saying the child should not cry. It's going to be very difficult. So those ones were paid out of an understanding. Now it is a discretion which the employer can exercise. So you can't say, how do you pay this one, how you didn't pay this one. For instance, I was reading yesterday that I think somewhere in Sokoto or so that some medical lecturers were paid.
Yes.
So, and you can't really question whoever pays, because like we are already established.
But they're all in the academic setting.
Funny enough, so the labor, whatever there, we are saying that they are trying to set themselves, they are trying to set the people against themselves. That it must be deliberate on the part of the labor minister to have done that, which is also very possible. But the truth is, you can choose to pay, you can choose not to pay legally, but morally, is that the right thing? It is not.
So is there any legal
Because you
backing? The labor minister actually said that some medical practitioners in the academic sector actually got their salaries.
Yeah, he said because they went to work.
Okay.
He said they were active in their, medical lecturers, they also work in the teaching hospital. He said they were working in the teaching hospital, but they were not in classes.
But we have lecturers who actually carry out community projects. Some actually do their research during the strike. So on what base does the government have now to prove this?
No, there's no strong reason why you should do that. There's no strong reason. There's no strong reason. So whoever is doing it for whatever reason they know. But the fact still remains, like I have established in law, you are not under compulsion to pay. But if you choose to pay some, it is only wise and proper for you to also pay others. You don't select, I pay this, I won't pay this, I'll pay this. You are creating confusion, you are creating problem. And that's the agenda of that, is to create a divisive union. Okay. It's not healthy for the system.
All right, let's quickly get your view. Do you think the labor minister is creating this harmony?
I think not paying ASU is victimization.
Okay.
Is victimization, because you only don't pay when lecturers or when staff go on strike on lawful grounds. Take, for example, there are procedures for strike. When you want to go on strike, you give warning, you give notice. There must be an issue on ground. Okay? So the procedure for proceeding on strike were properly engaged by ASU. The various notices were there. The warning strikes of 2 weeks and 2 weeks rolling strike were there. You understand?
It was not.
So I'm coming. So I see it as victimization.
Okay.
And I see it as a way of muzzling the workforce. Because let me tell you, the governments are beginning to understand that the only force of engagement to bring government to their need, to do the needful at every time, is the labor, is the working class of the society today. And they are beginning to use divisive tendencies and oppressive tendencies by way of no work, no pay, to begin to put fear in their minds so that they cannot vent their anger, so that they cannot protest, because strike is a form of protest, and it is lawful for anybody to protest when you feel cheated. Okay, so it is a kind of victimization. My advice to ASU is this: all over the world, in other climes, sometimes when some unions are on strike, they devise way to sustain their workers. Yeah. When you want to go to war, you must prepare.
Yes. Because
this hue and cry, let us resume, is because a lot of them are worried. Yes. Many of them are hungry. Some of them cannot even afford their house rent and all of that. And that is exactly what the government wants by seizing their funds. Okay. Because when you starve them of funds, you reduce the potency. So they must begin to devise a means. Whenever they want to go on strike, they devise a means of how to sustain the strike and sustain their workers so that they can actually push to get what they want. Then my advice to the government is this: if you made an agreement and you tell them, let's return on back to classroom, whether on a court order or not. Take for example, Nnamdi Kanu have been asked to be released. As the government released him, as they not went to court, we are also waiting for the court to tell government to go and obey the order of the lower courts before they appeal. Okay, so we must tell the government they should pay them, because this striking of a thing is not a thing that happened now. We are aware that they went on strike based on what has been on ground since 2009, an agreement that was made by the government. So they should be paid. Certain parts shouldn't be paid, and the other part will be left.
All right, thank you, Comrade Emmanuel Obidi, and thank you so much, Barrister
Israel
Adodo, for finding out time to join us on the show. We'll quickly take a short break now.